This is 7. Chapter. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 69, Text 27. Mantrayantam cha kasminschin mantrabhishchodvadibihi jalakridaratam kwapi varamukkhya balavrutam mantrayantam cha kasminschin mantrabhishchodvadibihi jalakridaratam kwapi varamukkhya balavrutam mantrayantam cha kasmischin mantribhishchodvadibihi jalakridaratam kwapi varamukkhya balavrutam. Mataji's Mantrayantam cha kasminschin mantribhishchodvadibihi varamukkhya balavrutam. Word to word translation. Mantrayantam, consulting, cha, and kasmin mischit, somewhere, mantribhihi, with advisors, cha, and uddhava adibhihi, uddhava and others, jala, watery, krida, in sports, ratam, engaged, kwapi, somewhere, varamukkhya, by royal dancing girls, abala, and other women, vritam, accompanied. Translation. Purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Somewhere he was consulting with royal ministers like Uddhava, and somewhere else he was enjoying in the water, surrounded by many society girls and other young women. Purport. This translation is based on Srila Prabhupada's Krishna. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Lord Krishna met with his counselors around dusk and enjoyed water sports in the afternoon. Text 28. Kutrachit द्विजमुख्योभ्यो ददतं गा स्वलङ्कृताः इतिहासपुराणानि शृण्वन्तं मङ्गलानि च. Somewhere he was giving well-decorated cows to exalted brahmanas, and elsewhere he was listening to the auspicious narration of epic heroes, histories and Puranas. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti informs us that giving cow in charity occurs in the morning, while hearing the histories take place in the afternoon. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So before we start today's Srimad Bhagavatam, I'd like to take the blessings of all the senior devotees and all of you so that we can discuss about this Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. So as we see this shloka, now these many shlokas are like this Krishna doing different things at different place, different time. Today's shloka says that how Krishna was consulting with royal ministers like Uddhava somewhere. Somewhere he was enjoying the water pastimes. Somewhere he was surrounded with the young girls, women. Somewhere he was giving cows in charity. Somewhere he was listening to Puranas. So we see that Krishna was simultaneously doing all these things, because Normally we see that any ordinary person can do many things, and he keeps doing things. But simultaneously doing everything, that is only in the capacity of Krishna. As we had discussed in previously also, that this power of making oneself existing at different places, that is possible, but then limit is there. Even for a yogi to expand himself, he can expand himself to 1, 2, 3, up to 8, not beyond that. And that also, that if he expands like that, then everybody has to do the same activity. Then it's like that. If one form of yogi is sleeping, then everybody, all the other forms, even if they are at different place, they will be sleeping. If he gets up, then other forms also get up. So, but here we see that Krishna is expanding not in 8 forms, he is expanding into 16,108. That is way beyond any ordinary yogi or any extraordinary yogi. So we see here that how this aspect of Krishna expanding himself and doing many things, that is understood by Narad Muni very nicely, and he was very ecstatic. It goes ahead. Narad Muni describing this, that he was telling this to Krishna only, that I saw your glories today, because I saw you in every palace in the city, you were present and you were doing something different. So today we'll discuss some things related to how Krishna is omnipresent. Omnipresent means Krishna is everywhere. And you can see here that Krishna was present everywhere, doing simultaneously different things. So, general understanding that Krishna is everywhere is every God conscious person, every religious person understands that God is everywhere. And that's why one of the name is Vishnu, one who has made himself available all over the Vishwa, universe. That is Vishnu, one who is everywhere. So it's not very difficult to understand that Lord is everywhere, because that is one of the definition of God, that God has to be all powerful and then he should be everywhere. So God being everywhere is well understood, but then God being everywhere personally, in his own personal form, that is very difficult to understand. Only those who are coming in line of Vaishnava Sampradaya only can understand that. It is not so easy. And that's how we see Prabhupada, when he went to America, then he personally gave his pranam mantra. And that pranam mantra is Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine. And then he gave this very specifically, Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Because he could see that practically 99% people, they either come in partially or fully in the category of impersonalists. So when it comes that God is everywhere, then the description comes as, yes, God is everywhere in the form of his energies. And that is very understood also, that yes, God is everywhere in his personal, in an impersonal way. Brahman is pervading everywhere, very well taken, understood. But when you say same Lord with all his qualities, all his form, that is everywhere, that becomes little difficult for any logical human brain to understand. Because so many places all over the Vedas, this aspect of the Lord, that how He is present everywhere, is given. Even in Brahma Samhita, it says, एकोप्यसौ रचयितुं जगदण्डकोटि यच्छक्तिरस्ति जगदण्डचयायदन्ताः अण्डान्तरस्थपरमाणुचयान्तरस्थं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. So here Brahmaji is praying Yat Shaktir, that Ekaha api asau, that he is although alone, but then Rachayitum Jagadanda Koti, that alone he performs such a feats like creating millions and billions of universes. So here we see that Lord is very powerful. He doesn't need anybody's help. In this world, if we have to go ahead, do something great, we need to take help of so many. Alone it is very difficult. But then the Lord is such that alone He cannot just create one bungalow, one city. He can create unlimited universes alone. And after creating also, He doesn't become less in any way. Om Purnaha Purnamidam Purnat Purna Udachyate. That although so many universes they come, His bank balance doesn't become less. His energy balance doesn't become less. He doesn't become exhausted just because so much of work is done. So we see here that He is very powerful. He creates so many things. And then in the next line it says, Jai SriSriRadhaRasbihari ki, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaunita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Then he says, Yat Shaktir Asti Jagadanda Chaya Yadantaha. That in his different energies, which are also equal to him, that Shakti Shaktimatayo Abhedaha, that the Shaktis and Krishna, they are same only, and then they are creating all these things. And then next he says, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. Although he is Andantarastha means, although he has separated himself, distributed himself throughout the universe, at the same time he is there in the Paramanu Chayantarastham. He is there in the every atom. He is there. And He is everywhere in the whole universe. So, when it comes to impersonalistic understanding, it becomes very easy to understand this all-pervasiveness of the Lord. Why? Because there is not much difficulty in understanding this. So we see that when we are understanding different qualities of the Lord, different energies of the Lord, the explanation given by this Nirakar understanding is very user-friendly, because that can be very easily understood. And that's how we see that majority of crowd will be very easily fall in this of impersonalistic understanding, because it's very easy to understand. Second, we see that when somebody is follower of this Nirvishesh Nirakarvad, there is not much conflicts. If somebody is worshipping Surya, somebody is worshipping Ganapati, somebody is worshipping, there is no conflict. Why? Because ultimately they say that everything is one only, so why to fight? Whatever you worship is okay. Everything is okay. Everything ultimately is impersonal only. So then everybody is very happy that there is no problem. You are also okay, I am also okay. Everybody else also is okay. So very nice. So that's how we see this is very user friendly. No conflicts. Another thing we see that there is no pressure on believer of such impersonal Lord that he has to surrender. He has to surrender his false ego. He has to surrender to the will of the Lord. Because there is no personality, it's just a light. And if you say they surrender to light, yes, what's difficulty? Just accept, Hare Krishna. So there is no difficulty in surrendering to something impersonal. And that's how we see now also that which is more easy, surrendering to a system or surrendering to a person who is having a different ideas, different desires, different likings and dislikings and things like that. It becomes more complex. So surrendering to Brahma Jyoti, who is not going to catch your ear, not becoming angry on you, very easy to surrender. Just understand it, that here is the Lord. But then to surrender to the Lord who demands Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshami Mashucha becomes very critical, difficult. Because anywhere you deal with a person, challenge is there. Dealing with machine, easy. Difficult, but still it's easy. You can understand. Dealing with a person is very difficult because he keeps changing. He keeps, demanding. And that's how it becomes very difficult. So to understand Lord personally as a person is very difficult. So that's how we see that although in the whole world, many times even the impersonalists will find them worshipping deities also. They will chanting the holy names also. But then in the core of their impersonalism, they understand that all these things are just different manifestations, just so that we can advance a little bit, but ultimately it is impersonal. So we see that this is so rampant, this is so much pushed in the system that we see that any religious, spiritual person, you scratch little bit, inside you find impersonalism only. Because it's easy and it is cozy also, because there is not much surrender needed. And then everything is okay, like that. But here, when we are discussing about Supreme Lord in his all opulences, all his 6 qualities, with his beauty, with his fame, with strength, that form is everywhere. So that is very difficult to understand. Because in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this story comes that before the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very few devotees were there in Navadvip. Few means very few. Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Mukunda, like that. Very few devotees who can count on fingers like that. Practically everybody was materialistic. So Advaita Acharya, because he was a great devotee of the Lord, he was very, being a devotee, worshipping the Lord in personal form. Any scripture he will read, he will give purport from the previous acharyas, from the previous commentaries, concluding bhakti to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he was very expert in that. So one day he was reading this very amazing shloka from Bhagavad-gita, which talks about the all-pervasiveness of the Lord. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvato akshishiro mukham sarvatah shrutiman loke sarvamavritta tishtati. So here the description of the Lord is that sarvatah panipadam tat sarvato akshishiro mukham, that the Lord is present everywhere and his eyes are everywhere, his face is everywhere, his hands are everywhere, his legs are everywhere. And then he says, Sarvatah Shutiman Loke. He hears also. whatever goes on. His ears are everywhere. And like this, Lord pervades everywhere. So then, when this was coming by the transcendental Leela of the Lord, it was very difficult for Advaita Acharya to put this into personal form of the Lord. That how, because in normal case, for example, I am giving now Bhagavatam class in Juhu, Mumbai. At the same time, 8:37 of today's, I cannot be at other place. I cannot be in Calcutta or I cannot be in other place. So, it is very logical to see that personal form at one place and not at other place. That is very. But then when we say that Krishna is in Juhu as RadhaRasbihari also, and then Krishna is there in Vrindavan as Sham Sundar also, and Krishna is everywhere. So that becomes little difficult to understand that whether he is just a stone representative, like just stone representation, or he is personally present everywhere. And not only just deities, here Lord Brahma is telling that he is there in every atom with all features. Satchidananda Vigraha. That becomes very difficult. So, one person going everywhere at different times, well understood. One person present everywhere all the time doesn't fit in logic. It's like that. But the problem is, logically it is correct. One person cannot be everywhere. But the problem is, Lord is beyond logic. So just in that logic, if you try to pack the Lord, then that doesn't work. And that's how it becomes very difficult to. That's how people they say, na, if Lord is there everywhere, show me. So they are very logical. Because if something is everywhere, it should be visible also. That's how they think. But then their thinking is not complete. It's incomplete. That there are some things which are everywhere and still you cannot see it. You cannot perceive it. So, when we are discussing about this Advaita Acharya, he got this doubt that how Lord is everywhere. We understand Lord is everywhere through his energies and things like that. But how the Lord is everywhere in his personal features. How the everywhere eyes are there, how the everywhere legs are there, how to understand that. And we can see that when devotees are in difficulty, he knew that what Bhagavad-gita is telling, that is perfect. It's a word of God. It has to be. But he was not able to understand it by Lord's special mercy. And then, you know what happened? He started fasting. That why I am not able to understand. Started praying to the Lord that please give me an understanding by which I can understand how you are present everywhere. And it happened that for many time he was fasting, just praying to the Lord. And then Lord appeared in his dream and showed him that how he is present everywhere in his personal form. And that's how we see, if you see this shloka in Bhagavad-gita, Prabhupada gives the translation. There Prabhupada gives translation with this understanding. He says, Lord is everywhere is his legs, everywhere his eyes, everywhere his hands, legs, everything. And then he says, in this way, Paramatma exists everywhere, like that. So, Advaita Acharya was revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that how he is everywhere in the form of Paramatma. That he is everywhere, that means every atom, Paramatma's hands are there. because it's like individual Paramatma is there in every atom, and in between every atom. So many hands, so many legs, so many ears, so many. So then he was very happy. So it is very difficult to understand that Lord is everywhere, not as an energy, as a person. So when we are seeing this understanding of Lord's personal existence everywhere, that becomes very difficult, and that's how we see in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the great demon who was also a great philosopher. This is little amazing character. He is greatest, very great philosopher, great speaker, and also great demon. Who? Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu, because he gave very nice Bhagavatam class when his brother was killed, Hiranyaksha, everybody was very much lamenting. So he comes there and he tells that don't cry, because everything happens by the will of the Lord, and everything is destined, there is a destiny, everything like that. So don't worry. Vagara, vagara. And his class was so powerful that everybody was pacified, except one person, Hiranyakashipu. So he was not pacified. He said, because that Lord who is pervading everywhere, that Vishnu is the cause of my brother's death. So today I take a vow to kill that Vishnu. He may go around showing himself very clever, very powerful, but then I'll teach him a lesson. And then we see that he acquired such a powers which in the history nobody had, that he could conquer the whole world except Brahmaloka, and then he was roaming everywhere without being challenged, because there was no scope. So here, as in few days, so we see here that Prabhupada writes, this is 7th canto, 8th chapter. In former times there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of body. So Hiranyakashipu is telling to, this is the conversation between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in the 10 direction. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised towards all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. That's how Prahlad Maharaj was telling to Hiranyakashipu. That how there is no question of enemies, friends. By our false ego only we categorize them into friends and enemies. And then Hiranyakashipu's reply comes. Shri Hiranyakashipu Ruvacha Vyaktam Tvam Martu Kamosmi Yoti Matram Vikatsase Mumurshunam Himada Mandatman Nanu Syur Viklava Giraha. Hiranyakashipu replied, you rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you are better than me at controlling the senses. This is over intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. So he says that you try to pose more intelligent than me, you try to pose that you are more self-controlled than me. And then he says, oh most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why he is not present before me in this pillar? So this is a very common question asked by so many people. Ignorant people ask this question, same. So it's like a parampara only of this question. This is asked in parampara that, but where is he? If he is everywhere, then why he is not present before me? That is the question asked by Hiranyakashipu, and which is very logical, because for him, if Krishna is everywhere, then he should be there. I can see him also. But he did not understand that Lord doesn't come under his logic. And then he said that because you are speaking such nonsense, today I'll send you to the abode of death. And then, being very angry, being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. So he wanted to prove to Prahlad that, Prahlad, you're a kid, don't kid around, that your understanding that Lord is there everywhere is completely false. I'll prove to you. With that, as a proof to show to Prahlad Maharaj, he punched the pillar which was in between, to show that he wanted to show Pratyaksha Pramana, that he wanted to show that, see, now I am demonstrating you that Lord is not there. And then he kicked, and then he wanted to show that, see, nothing is there, like that. So I remember in our college days, we used to read this book, which is very famous book, Life Comes from Life. So it's very wonderful conversation of Prabhupada, and Maharaj also asking so many nice questions, and then Prabhupada is giving answers. It's very wonderful book. So it's a morning walk, and Prabhupada was very happy to have that book. At the end of that book, it was a story of Hansadutta Swami refuting this Dr. Kour in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Because Sri Lanka, Prabhupada had sent this Hansadutta Swami, and then this one very famous atheist scientist was there, and he claimed that I don't believe in existence of soul. So he said that I don't believe that I exist in body at some point. He said, I don't believe all these things. So Hansadutta Swami was preaching there. So he wrote article in BTG refuting that these words, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that, they are not scientific. Scientists don't say I don't believe this and that. You have to. And then he goes on describing very nicely that how life comes from life, not from chemicals. And then he challenged, because this Dr. Kour had challenged in the newspaper that I'll give you 1 lakh rupees to somebody who can prove some supernatural powers. So, and he had also many followers telling that, yes, 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 like that. So, Hansadutta Swami refuted that, and then Hansadutta Swami challenged him that you say that life doesn't come from life, it comes from matter. He said, okay, then you generate mosquito with all the chemical things. He said, okay, if that is also very difficult, generate one bed bug. If that is also very difficult, generate one egg which can create hen in future. Because egg is not, it's just chemicals only. yellow chemical, white chemical, you just put it and then create. He says, if that is also not possible, just create one drop of milk or just one grain. So that was very humiliating uh, challenge offered. And then the newspapers also are creating a lot of hype of this. Every day in newspaper they were posting the reply of Kaur, reply of Hansadut Maharaj, like that. So uh, they put on the article that Hare Krishna devotees refute that hen is more intelligent than Mr. Kaur, like that. Because hen can produce egg which can produce chicken, but Kaur cannot do it. So, and Prabhupada also was getting many letters of all this conversation. So Prabhupada also very thrilled to see that. So at the end of this whole story, something very peculiar happened, which generally happens in this material world. That this Kaur, just to have a kind of last challenge, he invited all the people. He said that let us meet on such and such date in the auditorium. And then he says that I want to demonstrate in front of everybody that how God is not there. Thousands of people, he had taken the whole auditorium, this stadium where people they came, and they said that if God is there, I challenge him to come on that day time and show to everybody. If he is really there, let him come and give that, and then I'll also accept. And if he doesn't come, then it is proven that he is not there. And then it was a big news. The whole auditorium was filled. And then he went there and then he counted also. So God, it's time for you, if you really exist, to prove yourself. I'm counting 1 to 10. And then he started counting. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5. He said, only last few seconds, please, if you are there. And then 1, 0. And everybody was expecting something to happen, that something strange will happen, but nothing happened. And then on the mic he announced that hence proved that God is not there. So we can see that what kind of logic people they give, and they pose themselves as very great intelligent people. So here also we see that Hiranyakashipu, who was actually a great philosopher, very intelligent, but this simple thing he couldn't understand, that Lord is present everywhere. Why? Because of false ego only. Because when we think that I am great, how is it possible to understand how God is great? When I think that I am center of attraction, then how we understand Krishna? That's how we see that Prahlad Maharaj himself, he says that I am attracted to the Lord naturally, the way the iron filings, they are attracted to magnet. So we see that the attraction and understanding of the Lord is very natural, in our natural position. But then we see that the same iron filings, when they get rusted, then the same natural understanding doesn't arise. Then even if the magnet comes, the iron filings don't get attracted. So we see here that although it is very easy to understand, but then not everybody understands it, because minds and intelligence had become so complex because of the complex educational system, because of the complex association. Then even the simple thing to understand becomes so difficult. And that's how we see that maximum people are impersonalists. They say that God is everywhere, but they don't believe in personality of Godhead. They say that yes, energy is there, light is there, and people meditate and this and that, but they don't want to accept personality of Godhead. For them that becomes little difficult, because to accept God as a person means to follow his order. That becomes a problem, because if you accept a personality of Godhead, that means then you have to give up all the nonsense. That means you have to follow some rules and regulation. For that, so much resistance is there. So for them, it is easier to understand that God is light. He is happy being light, and I am happy the way I am. I can do anything and everything. So we see that this personal understanding of the Lord is made difficult with our so many wrong desires. So here we see that it says, Tadaiva tasmin ninadoti bhishano babhuva yenandakatahamas putat yam vai swadhishnyo pagatam tvajadayah shutva swadhamatyayamangamenire. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. O my dear Yudhishthir, this sound reached even the abodes of the demigods like Lord Brahma, and when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planet are being destroyed. Savikraman putravadhe surojasa nishamya nirharda purvamadbhutam antasabhayam nadadarsha tatpadam vitatra suryena surari yuthapa. While showing his extraordinary powers, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never been heard before. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. And then this very famous verse, it comes. Satyam vidhatum nijabhrutya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshvakhileshu chatmanah adrushyatatya-adbhuta-rupamudvahan stambhe sabhayam namugam namanusham. To prove that the statement of its servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial. In other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Hare exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in this wonderful form in the assembly hall. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, where is your Lord? Is he present in this pillar? Prahlad Maharaj fearlessly replied, yes, my Lord is present everywhere. Therefore, to convince Hiranyakashipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. So here we see that Lord appeared Satyam Vidhatum Nijabhrutya Bhashitam, that his devotees had already spoken this. Brahmaji had spoken that Lord will appear. Narad Muni had spoken that Lord will appear. And now here the Prahlad Maharaj himself was telling that yes, Lord is everywhere. And of course Hiranyakashipu also is associate of the Lord only. So when he is telling that in this pillar he is there, then Lord has to appear to show him that yes, I am there. So many devotees had confirmed that Lord will come. So by taking their words, Lord appeared. So we see that Lord is present everywhere, but then he is present in his personal form. And that's how we see that when Prabhupada went to America, one of his goal was to destroy this impersonalistic understanding. And that's how he created his own mantra, which was Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. that he wanted to deliver the whole world with this impersonalistic understanding, which is very rampant, very easily accepted, and then people remain in that ignorance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see that Prabhupada, throughout his whole life, we can see this disturbance, we can see this distinction between Prabhupada and many other sadhus, babas like that. I have seen, because we can see that other people generally, even when they are giving spiritual discourses, they quote Krishna without saying Krishna said like this. You will find that they say that Bhagavad-gita says like this, or this Grantha says like this, or this. Nobody dares to say like this, the way Prabhupada is to say that Krishna is telling, surrender to me. It may look little, what is that? But then, person who has no personalistic understanding can never say like this. Only devotees can say this, that Krishna is saying, do this. Others, they say that, yes, it is there in the mentioned in the scriptures, that we should surrender, like that. So that's how we see that unless we become very conversant with this understanding which Prabhupada is so painstakingly giving us, that how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is a person. He is not impersonal. I still remember when in one of the lecture, His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj was telling this, that he had gone to Middle East and then he was waiting on the airport. And as you know that sometimes other religions, they don't have this understanding of Lord as personal form. So when he was sitting there chanting his rounds, it was a bigger, it was like a lot of delay was there for the plane, 4 or 5 hours almost. So he was sitting there chanting his rounds. So it was in the Dubai. So one of the airport official was seeing through his glass, some sannyasi sadhu from India is sitting there for so much, just chanting. So he became little curious. So he came out and he said, hi. He said, then Maharaj said, okay, Hare Krishna. He says, are you Indian? He says, yes. He said, I have heard that you Indians worship stones. So that was the first reaction. So Maharaj said, no. Who said that? So he was very surprised. He said, I have heard but that Indians, they worship stones. So Maharaj said, no. Then Maharaj showed him down so many stones, that stone, marble, floor was there. He said, I am standing on the stone where I am worshipping. He said, yeah, that is also there. Like, you are standing on the stone, you are not worshipping. So then he said that we don't worship stones, we worship deities. And then he told about the deities. Then he said, that only I was telling, that you worship stones. So he said that, how can you make a form of the deities like this? God is there. We also accept God. God is everywhere. He doesn't come here. So then I said that, you do namaz every day? He says, yes. Very religiously we do namaz. He says, what is the namaz? He says, this is our prayers to God. So he says, you pray to God, you believe God hears? He says, of course. Then Maharaj asked, how he hears? How he hears means, it's like, he hears with ears. So then Maharaj asked him, so you believe that God has ears? Now that was like a thunderbolt question to him. Nobody even, so he looked at Maharaj as if, some big revelation has happened. He couldn't speak any word. So then Maharaj asked second question. You think your Allah only hears and don't speak? He said, of course, he speaks. And how he speaks? He says, speaks means, it's like, he has to have some way to speak. Then, so you believe that your God has ears, he speaks also. You think that he will not walk? He will not do some help to you by his hands? So then if a person whom you are worshipping every day, praying to him, he hears your prayers, he speaks, he hears, he sees, and then still you say that he don't have form, how is that possible? So then he was like stunned. Then he said that in my last 50 years, nobody told me that God has form. So it's like you are the first person in the universe telling me that God has form. So then he was so impressed, he went inside and gifted something to Maharaj and like that. So we see that many people are impersonalists just because nobody has told them. And that is a greatest the contribution of Prabhupada, going all over the world telling that God is person. Here he is. We know his name, we know his address, we know what he does, what he likes. So we see that that's how this was very much, when Prabhupada personally wrote Vyasa-puja to his Guru Maharaj, this was one thing which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur liked the most. That lines, that absolute truth is sentient and the impersonal calamities you have removed. That whole line of, so that line which Prabhupada wrote was very much appreciated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then he said that, yes, you understood my mission. So that was the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to establish this personalism all over the world. And then that's how the mission shared by Srila Prabhupada. He went all over the world telling everybody that Lord is a person. He is not just impersonal light, impersonal energy. You do anything, everything, just have faith in him. No. So he is a person. So we see that when we understand Lord is a person, then all our activities become very meaningful. Offering obeisances to the Lord, we understand that he is a person. He becomes happy when he sees us offering obeisances. When we chant nicely, he becomes happy. When we don't chant nicely, he becomes unhappy. When we are doing proper service with proper attitude, he becomes happy. When we don't do that, he becomes unhappy. When we actually feel that, then our bhakti becomes very mature. Bhakti becomes very easy. Bhakti becomes very properly done. So, as we were discussing here, that the Lord's understanding as how he is everywhere is very easy when it is coming through Nirakar, Nirvishesh, impersonalistic way, because it is very user friendly. It doesn't demand any surrender. And then no conflicts. Everybody is okay. You worship any form of God, okay. Why? Because everything is impersonal anyway. But then when it comes to Sakar Swarup of the Lord, it demands surrender. It demands following rules and regulations, which people, they are little hesitant. And then we saw that how Advaita Acharya, when he got that understanding from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the Lord exists everywhere in the form of Paramatma, then he was very pleased, happy. And then we saw how generally the people, they want to say that we are logical, to think that if Lord is everywhere, he should be visible also. But that logic doesn't work when it comes to Krishna, because he is beyond logic. And then we saw the example of Hamsaduta Swami, how he was refuting this scientist core. And then we see also that how Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur both, were vehemently attacking this impersonalistic understanding, because that was the core of all non-believers, because they are just for the namesake, religious people, but then they were not ready to serve the Lord, because that personalistic understanding is not there. People feel that I just believe and that's it. That's very impersonalistic understanding. So Prabhupada didn't teach us to believe in God. Prabhupada taught us to serve and love God. That is the difference, and that is the greatest contribution Prabhupada gave to the whole world. That he created such a wonderful association of devotees in the form of ISKCON, gave so many books, gave the philosophical understanding, and by his own personal example, he created this desire to serve the Lord deeply. So we really thank our whole parampara and Srila Prabhupada for giving this wonderful gift to the whole world. Hare Krishna. Any comments? Any?
Thank you, Prabhuji. One question, one comment, Prabhuji. Question? So is this Hiranyakashipu was Paramatmavadi, Brahmavadi, or how exactly? He said that he is trying to prove that God personally is not existing to Prahlad. He wants to prove to Prahlad. So is he, because he also did yoga, he also did tapasya. Brahma got pleased. So
Yeah.
what is his status exactly? Of course, he is spiritually there.
His status is his demon. Because atheists, they don't believe in God. So he was fully believing in God because he wanted to kill God. So how can he say that he is atheist? So he wanted to find God and then kill him. So, and he believed that God only has killed his brother. But then he was so inimical to the Lord that he either wanted to finish the existence of God or to deny the existence of God. That is just coming out of that great envy and competitive mentality. So many times you'll see that atheists, there are two types of atheists. One, those actually in that way, pure atheists are very difficult to find. Generally, atheists, they become by the circumstance. Something bad happens in their life, and then they say that, if God was there, how this can happen? So we don't believe in God. So it's just a emotional kind of expression to something which bad happening to their life as an atheistic expression. So many times people are atheist in this way, that they just can't figure it out why this happened to me, and then they blame God, telling that you are not there. That's how it happened. So here in this case, he knew God, he wanted to fight with God, he wanted to kill him. At the same time, his ego was not ready to accept that God is everywhere, God is more powerful than me also. Vagara. Yes.
But he had understanding that God is person, I mean, because he killed his elder brother. In the case of Kamsa, when he's seeing in fear with the demonic mentality, envious mentality. He was seeing Krishna everywhere and is literally feeling fearful. Is he seeing Krishna in person everywhere? Because we see Narada Muni glorifying Kamsa, that you are more Krishna conscious than us.
Yeah.
So is he seeing Krishna everywhere in person, Kamsa?
Yeah. So he was seeing Krishna everywhere whenever he used to see the mirror. Even if he sees his wife coming, he will feel that Krishna is coming. So because so much obsession was there out of fear, that he was perceiving Krishna everywhere. Like that.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. How you nicely describe this, that how the easiness of understanding impersonalism and coziness of practices to surrender to impersonalism, how all over world people are now, captured by this philosophy of impersonalism. So we see, Puji, ourselves also, that we are also, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we now serve Lord as a person and love Him. But this impersonalism are there in the system whenever dealing with Lord, when we're dealing with devotees. So what practices we should do now to overcome this insensibility or impersonalisms?
Yeah, it is uh, this impersonalism, because that's how the whole world is filled with, so that also sinks in our heart when we are practicing even Krishna consciousness. So after so much of familiarity, we also start seeing deities also as just okay, they are there, but not as the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he first came to take darshan of the Jagannath, he fainted, understanding that Supreme Lord is standing here. But here we come and then we pay obeisances, looking at some new message has come in my mobile. I have to just call is coming, and then we just half pay obeisances, run out. So for us, this is like some exercise. Daily exercise is there, that we get up, pay obeisances 1, 2, 3, 4, Hare Krishna, like that. But then when we understand our acharyas, and specifically deity worship, when somebody is doing deity worship, then he has to take care of the whole thing, which dress to put, which turban to put, and then naturally that feeling comes that which will be more pleasing to the Lord, which flowers I should offer, etc. So we see that Prabhupada has given us enough engagements by which that personal understanding of the Lord will come. We can serve Him. So by serving devotees and serving Lord more intimately, that personalistic view will come. Okay, thank you very much. Any comment? Okay, we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.